The twin suns of Carador beat down on the endless dunes as Captain Jared Knox stepped off the transport shuttle, his weathered boots sinking into golden sand. At 58, he'd seen 100 worlds, but none quite like this one. The air shimmered with heat and something else, something that made his skin prickle with awareness. She was waiting where the distress beacon had originated, sitting in the sand with an otherworldly grace that stopped him mid-stride. Purple skin that seemed to glow faintly in the harsh light, green hair cascading past her shoulders, and ears that rose to delicate points. She looked no more than 25 in Earth years, but he knew better than to judge age by appearance out here among the stars. Her amber eyes met his, and he saw something there that transcended species and planets. Loneliness. The kind he recognized because he carried it himself. "I am Princess Liara of the House of Meridian," she said, her voice like distant music. "You came." Jared approached slowly, keeping his hands visible, unthreatening. Years of first contact protocols had taught him caution, but something in her posture told him she was no danger. The rope in his hand was standard rescue gear, nothing more. "Captain Knox, Earth Diplomatic Corps. Your beacon said you needed help." She looked away toward the horizon where the dunes rolled endlessly. "I need many things, Captain. Help is only one of them." He sat down beside her, ignoring protocol that said he should maintain distance. His knees creaked with emotion, reminding him of decades spent in zero gravity and on worlds with gravity too heavy or too light. "Tell me," he said simply. Liara drew patterns in the sand with one purple finger. "My father wants me to marry Prince Aloran of the Northern Territories. It would unite two kingdoms, end generations of conflict, bring peace to millions." She paused, and her voice dropped to barely a whisper. "But I do not love him. I cannot love him." Jared had heard variations of the story across a dozen civilizations. Duty versus desire. The weight of crowns versus the yearning of hearts. "So you ran." "I ran," she confirmed. "Like a child. Like a fool. My shuttle crashed 3 days ago. I have been alone here since. Thinking. Remembering." "Remembering what?" She turned to him then, and the vulnerability in her eyes struck something deep in his chest. "There was another, a young guard in my father's palace named Torin. He had kind eyes and gentle hands. We would meet in the gardens after dark, and he would tell me about his village, his family, his dreams of traveling beyond our world. I loved him, Captain Knox. I loved him with everything I was." "What happened?" Jared asked, though he sensed the answer would hurt. "My father discovered us. Torin was sent away, exiled to the outer reaches. I have not seen him in 5 years. 5 years of diplomatic meetings, of learning to smile at princes I did not want, of becoming the daughter my kingdom needed rather than the woman I was." Her voice broke slightly. "And now they tell me Torin took a wife. He has children. He has built a life in exile, a life I am not part of." Jared understood loss. His own wife had died 12 years ago, cancer claiming her before the colonial medicine could save her. He'd thrown himself into deep space assignments, running from Earth and all its memories. "So if you can't have love, you'll accept duty?" "No." Liara's voice grew stronger. "I will not marry Zaloran. I will not be a queen who lives half a life, pretending and performing. But I cannot return to my father's house as I am. I cannot face that throne, those expectations, that cage." She looked at him directly, her amber eyes blazing with desperate determination. "If I cannot belong to the one I love, then I choose to belong to no crown, no kingdom. I choose freedom, even if freedom means exile." "And you activated the beacon because—" "Because I am afraid," she admitted. "Because choosing freedom is terrifying when you have lived in a palace all your life. Because I need someone to tell me I am not insane for walking away from everything I was born to be." Jared was quiet for a long moment, watching the way the light played across the endless desert. He thought about his own daughter back on Earth, now 43, with children of her own. He'd missed so much of her life, choosing duty and exploration over being present. Had he been running towards something or away from his grief? "You're not insane," he said finally, "but you are young. In 10 years, 20, 30, you might look back and wonder if you made the right choice. Duty isn't always a cage, Liara. Sometimes it's how we find meaning when love fails us. She shook her head. You don't understand. In my world, a princess who refuses her duty brings shame. My father would never allow me to simply leave. He would hunt me, bring me back, lock me away until I agreed to marry, unless I was seen to belong to another, to be claimed by someone my father could not touch. Jared felt the weight of what she was asking before she spoke the words. The Earth Diplomatic Corps has immunity across all systems, Liara said softly. If I were under your protection, registered as your bonded companion, my father could not force me to return. After 5 years, the bond could be dissolved. I would be considered independent, free to choose my own path. You're asking me to marry you. A legal bond only. I am asking you to be my shelter while I learn to be free. I am asking you to let me belong to you in name, so I can someday belong to myself in truth. The desert wind picked up, swirling sand around them both. Jared thought about what the Corps would say, about the complications this would bring. He thought about his empty quarters on the starship, about the decades stretching ahead of him with nothing but duty and loneliness. But mostly, he thought about the courage it took for this young woman to choose an uncertain future over a gilded cage. 5 years, he said. I'll file the bond papers. You'll have full autonomy, your own quarters, your own life. This is protection, nothing more. Tears spilled down her purple cheeks, crystalline and strange. Thank you, Captain Knox. Thank you for seeing me not as a princess or a prize, but as someone trying to find her way. He stood, offering her his hand. She took it, and he pulled her at her feet. The rope in his other hand had been meant for practical rescue, but now it felt symbolic of something else. The ties we form to save each other, the bonds we choose that set us free. As they walked toward the shuttle together, Liara spoke quietly. Will you tell me about your wife? About the love you lost? And Jared, who had not spoken her name aloud in 5 years, found that he could. Found that the strange young woman from a distant world had opened something in him he thought was sealed forever. They talked as the sun set, painting the desert in shades of copper and gold, two lonely souls finding unexpected connection in the vastness of space. The bond would be formalized within a week. Liara would learn what it meant to choose her own path, to be free of expectations. And Jared would discover that protecting someone else's chance at happiness could heal wounds he'd thought were permanent. Years later, when the bond was dissolved and Liara stood on her own, independent and transformed, she would remember the captain who let her belong to him just long enough to learn she belonged to herself.